Ladies and gentlemen, today on January 23rd of 2025, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has finally come to PC. Just shy of a year later of its release on PlayStation 5 a year ago. Now, let's get right to the thick of it. Is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on PC worth getting? Should you get it? I'm very happy to say that that is a resounding yes, okay? For anyone that remembers or has played Final Fantasy VII remake on PC, knows that that was basically a fat turd of a PC port. It came with a lot of issues, horrible stuttering, performance issues as well. I personally fought a 2-year battle of just trying to get the game to work as it was supposed to. Okay. I finally was able to find a solution to my performance issues, and I was very happy that I was finally just able to play the game at 1440p 60 FPS as you could on the PlayStation 5, and that got its own version. I'm very happy to say that for Rebirth on PC, virtually none of those issues carried over. It works as it's supposed to. There was practically no stutters. There were a couple stutters, but more that were like if you went to like, I don't know, like a new area, or sometimes in cutscenes when it was like, doing cutaways and changing scenes, it would do like a little stutter. But during gameplay and such, it was perfect. It was basically fine. It was, there were no issues. When it comes to graphic settings as well, there's way more this time, and not just two, with a texture and shadow setting for high and low, like how it was on Remake. Now there's like various different settings you can, now you can control the dynamic resolution. It's done a little bit differently how, most other games do it. I'll get to that in a second. There's basically, level of detail settings, like a draw distance. I think it's called background level of detail or detail, something like that. It's the only setting that has an ultra option. Other stuff, you obviously have your shadows, you have your textures, you have for stuff like for water, for fog, and you basically have more options now. This Rebirth PC is definitely way more satisfying for a port. Like I've already said, there's no performance issues, at least for me as I've played it. Just for the record, for my rig, I have a 3060 and a Ryzen 7 3700X. So that's what I'm working with, and I was able to play the game fine. I went through the whole intro, first area, and it was fine. It was perfectly fine. Like, there's no more I can say. I'm pleasantly surprised that my prayers were answered, because I did tweet about this, a year ago when Rebirth came out, that I hoped the PC port was not going to be shit. And here we are a year later, it's not. Now, there was one thing I did want to mention. I did ran into a issue immediately at the start. When I first installed the game, for some reason, I was getting the prompt that your system does not support DX12. That is a load of bullshit, because I have played games with DX12 with my current system before. All I basically did was I basically just verified the files that you can do on Steam, and that was it. And funny enough, when I did that, it did detect that some files were missing, and then it was doing like a little patch, and then I tried the game again to boot it up, and then it worked fine. So that was all. So if you did get a similar issue with that, with like it telling you that you don't have DX12 or you don't support it, just try verifying the files and maybe see if that works. I do know that there are some older graphics cards that aren't being supported. I think I've been seeing a little around for like, people talking that the game wasn't working for them. I do think I remember hearing something about that in the minimum specs requirements. So if that's the case, there's probably nothing you can really do as far as I know. But yeah, that was it. After I solved that initial issue, it was heaven, to put it that way. It was just a great Great experience. Another thing I want to mention is that in terms of performance wise and image quality, I did notice compared to PlayStation 5 when I played it on PlayStation 5 the first time, the image quality is definitely 100% without a doubt it is way better on the PC version. We all know that one of the critiques for the performance mode on PlayStation 5 when it first came out was that the image was very blurry on performance mode. It's actually one of the reasons why first time I played the game, I did play it on graphics mode because it was pretty blurry. It was like I couldn't like it's like the environment was I couldn't see the environment that clearly, and it's just like, man, I'm really missing out on some of the detail here. It's so for that reason, the first time I played the game, I did play it on graphics mode. But this time around, trying it on my system on PC, I was able to get basically a smooth 60 FPS at 1440p resolution. That is another thing, is that when you do click the borderless window option, you can't pick the resolution. That is a thing that I think is a little lame. It's like, why can we not just pick the resolution? I don't know if there's a workaround around that. Probably, considering it's an Unreal Engine game, so maybe there's something that people can do. But yeah, it was 60 FPS. It was, I guess, upscaling to 1440p. And the image quality was significantly better, in my opinion. It was not nearly as blurry, and it was just a overall way better experience. If you are curious, here I'm gonna put it on the screen the settings I went with and with the settings that I found that were best for me, that I thought was best for me. I'll definitely just say that the setting that had the most impact on performance was the background detail one. I think going from ultra to like lower medium is like a 40 FPS hit. It was for me from some scenes I was seeing. Definitely the biggest impacting one. For me, I went with medium. That was like just fine. There was still some popping, but for me personally, it was popping that was manageable and wasn't ruining my experience. At the same time, that is the lowest I would go for that setting, because low is definitely, the popping is very in your face at that point. Medium is the lowest I would go if you can afford it. If you have maybe a weaker system, maybe you'd have to go to low. But if you have a graphics card that's around a 3060 level, or if you have a graphics card that is over a 3060 in terms of performance, then you're fine with probably sticking to high, even ultra. I would absolutely say that if you have a 3080 rig or a 4080 rig, you're gonna have a great time with this. Right? Probably no issues. It's gonna be great for you. Okay, I will tell you that as someone who just played it on my rig, and yeah, I can't wait for a future playthrough for this game where I go through it again. It'll be a good time. But yeah, that's all I had to say on this. I just spread the word that the Rebirth PC port is a good one. It's good. They did good. Okay, I will half forgive Square Enix now. Obviously, the remake port is still, out of the box, so to speak, is still shit. They never fixed that. There is a place in my heart where I still don't forgive them for that, but they have somewhat made it up by the Rebirth, with the Rebirth PC port being good. Anyways, that's enough for me. That's all I had to say on the matter. Peace.